because you won an early game fight, right? If you play champions that are a little bit better in the early game and you just say, hey, we want to take every single fight, maybe your fortunes will change.
Yeah, I mean, that is one strategy. Of course, they do swap over to the blue side, so access to a priority pick, as blue has just been consensus side for Fearless, really. Very few teams in the world taking red side. So interested to see as we dive through this draft, you know, what kind of direction LNG wants to take with this new look.
See what the moves are. EDG still hunting around for their second ban at this point. Looks like they will once again keep Yone out of the hands of Haichao, one of his better champions. As Ari is already taken away too, so now we're digging to this guy's lesser played champions, and you know it's a little bit tougher, especially for what we've seen. As you mentioned, you know, could potentially see a Jace root around here, but you know at this point it's kind of hard to determine what you were going to see out of LNG, just because you know we've seen a lot of first pick junglers or first couple of picks, and you know we don't really have too much tape on 5v5.
All right, so of course the Sion ban really prompting and raising the priority of a Jace ban, as Sion is one of the more common answers into it. Curious what LNG has now for first pick. It's just going to be a Haichao Azir, so no Rise to go into it, no Talia either. Curious what Angel wants. Of course, you do have options like Orianna, but when you have a pick like Skarner, opportunity to maybe look for a Silas angle later on in the draft.
Yeah, and Skarner has been a champion that has been allowed through a couple of times. We'll see if EDG ends up picking it. And actually doesn't have a positive win rate right now, which is really crazy to me. And the teams that have been picking it, we haven't seen a Zyra against it. Zyra typically a champion that is seen as really good in this Skarner. We haven't seen high or low of that champion at all so far. Corgi going to be the initial lock-in for EDG, so probably going to take that into the Azir and just look for that early lane dominance.
Yeah, I fear, Yanni, I might have been baited by the Hutter talking about the Skarner.
It's valid, though. Like, it's valid.
Yeah.
You would expect them to just slam Skarner there, no? I did.
I mean, potentially, it's always an option. Skarner, so tanky and brings a lot of power to the table. Able to cheat terrain, AoE, suppress ultimate. Yeah, pretty good champion. One that 5T5 might actually be looking at himself here in the second phase of bans.
What if they mind-controlled LNG?
Also, I mean, if they don't lock this one in, they might be mind-controlling me. Okay, we're going to go with the Skarner this time around.
All right, this does still leave the door open for the for Silas, as you had mentioned, potentially like for LNG, but now EDG could have an opportunity to take it if they want. You could just send the Corki into the bottom lane. That is very valid, something that you can do. So we'll see what the final pick for LNG is here for the first half. Okay, this would be sweet. I'm totally for this. This is a little bit more exciting than what we saw in the last game here. So we're going to see the Zika Camille.
Yeah, and now really option to drop jungle, or like honestly choices here for EDG. I don't think they're going to lock in a mid laner because they still want to threaten the Corki flex. I will say that with Corki, I think his best pairing in the bot lane is Leona. Your ability to proc Leona's passive with Corki's kit, it's really easy to do. So wondering now if we get any bans to protect a potential Corki bot, whereas I expect LNG to use their bans to at least target jungle because they can guarantee then that those bans will land.
And for EDG, it looks like something that LNG could pick to tie to the room together. You just really want to take out. Obviously, the Alistar is good. The Alistar can do a great job of keeping the Gnar out of a fight, keep the Leona out of a fight. Now, so maybe some more of these disengaged supports will be picked up. And for LNG, I wonder if they'll go after any mid laners here. If they want to force this Corki mid, perhaps.
And a potential Braum or Rakan ban here, too, for EDG. Both are up, so you got to believe that Zhuo is going to get a champ that he'll still be comfortable on at support. But if you do take away the Braum, the Leona into Rakan matchup can be positive for Leona, especially if you have somebody like Corki behind you. You're a very bursty lane. So it would deny something like a Braum Ashe, which would look pretty good here for LNG with this core.
Yeah, you'd get a little bit of extra CC that you're not really getting out of the mid lane. So with the Rakan ban, that does mean that is on the table for LNG if they want it. See what the second option is for a ban here.
Could be the Zyra.
Yeah, could be the Zyra. You know, there's A Vi still available, but Vi is a little tricky into his ear sometimes. So maybe they'll just allow EDG to pick that if they want. It does end up being the Zyra, so not going to be too worried about Skarner getting outpaced.
Yeah, and again, taking away some of those magic damage junglers to maybe push that Corki into the bot lane. Interesting here is I fully expect jungle to be locked in, so you can preserve that Corki flex throughout draft, but Xiaohao kind of down a few options, might just default over to that Vi, have that point and click go button, so we'll see if that ends up being a good one for Xiaohao later on for EDG.
Yeah, the last time I saw a Vi into an Azir, I saw many times where the Azir carried the Vi in between Tier 1 and Tier 2 mid turrets. So Xiaohao going to have to be very careful about that, perhaps go after some other targets. Kalista is a champion that has fallen off in the ban priority. We did see it banned in Game 1, I believe. But is a champion that has started to slip through the cracks a little bit now. With that being locked in, we could see a double range bot lane, perhaps. We all know that Renata and Nico are the two best ones, but with the team comp that EDG has put together, this Renata makes a whole lot of sense.
I like this. I think it really pressures EDG to go for something like, go for some sort of mage here. They need some magic damage in their kit. I'm curious. I mean, they have the option to Ziggs bot, but you can get abused by Kalista Renata if you go for something like that. So going to be the Hui, which we expect to be in the hands of Angel mid, which will push that Corki bot. And I gotta say, I do like LNG's draft a lot here, Yanni. I think that between the Skarner, just the strength that he brings to fights, and also the ability to sync up with a hostile takeover, not only do you have really nice synergy there, but that Vi and Leona want to go in, right? So having that hostile takeover could be really big for LNG in these fights. I like the fact they're bringing a lot of circles to the table. We're just going to have to see if they can execute.
Yeah, it's just so dangerous to go in if you're EDG because, not only the Renata ultimate, but think of all the tools that LNG have to dissuade something like that, right? Once you're level 6, Fate's call to pull back the Renata. If you get called out, you're able to get out. Azir is able to slide out, use the Emperor's Divide to keep people away. Obviously, going into a Skarner Impale is always a little tricky. They have a fair amount of damage over on the side of LNG. And then, of course, we all know that Camille with the hook shot is a champion that is a little bit difficult to lock down. Has the ultimate to dodge out onto some key CC pieces. So a lot of slipperiness, really, from this LNG composition. And already I'm feeling a little bit more inspired in this game compared to the first one. But we all know it comes down to the play on the Rift.
Yeah, that play from LNG in Game 1 with their new look, not exactly what they were looking for. Saw a little bit of a lack of proactivity here, but real chance for 5T5. Of course, had that carrying a Fury in Game 1 on the supportive Skarner Game 2. I like the draft that LNG has. I think it's really playable and winnable. So just want to see if they can execute this one. As every game matters here. Of course, you are playing for your lives for Split 3 for the rest of the competitive year for LOL Esports. So I'll see if they can step up.
One thing to note, Cubby, is that LNG solo laners still take some time to get online, much like last game, right? Camille does tend to have a little bit more early power than Mbessa does in certain lanes, but, we're still waiting for Zika to get strong. We're still waiting for Zika to get strong, and then Haichao, of course, is going to play the Haichao game of doing not a whole lot early and maybe being a late threat, so LNG does still fall under some worry here that EDG's strong early game can kind of run them over.
Whatever algorithm the LPL is running, they really liked EDG's drafts. I think that's one of the more one-sided graphs I've seen with a 54% win rate early on, 56 later on. A little bit surprised by that one. I will say...
I want to know. Where's the algorithm? I gotta tap into that.
Maybe they're just factoring in the fact that Hui has like 9 abilities,
9
could be valuable this game.
More than 4, I hear.
Yeah, could be really valuable this game. I think Angel's Hui pick is actually a really nice use of R5. Ability to... Of course, Hui has so much flexibility. Definitely is a champ that can sometimes be confusing, but for me, a champ where the potential is really limitless, still unexplored even with how long it's been out for now. We'll see if Angel can really find the right buttons for the right scenarios. I think that one thing that comes to mind, connecting that fear against Skarner, that's a big one if 5T5 ever does show mid. So we'll see if Angel's able to do that.
Yeah, because as many may know, Hui, given the fact he's got 9 abilities, none of them are an escape. They're all, trying to keep you away. He can shield up a little bit as Wink has gone in, and he'll get skewered a couple of times for it. But, yeah, no true escape out of Angel, so 5T5 can take these creative angles to force out that flash and then maybe pay a second visit. It's going to be a little bit hard, the fact that Azir doesn't actually give you any CC setup, at least until he hits level 6.
I do like that idea, though, of getting the flash out of way and setting up the revisit with Azir. That's a pretty textbook Azir play, right? Able to find those matchups where flash advantage does mean a lot. So, see if that ends up being the case for 5T5 later on. Of course, making his LPL debut tonight in Game 2 on the Skarner. See if it can go a little bit better for him.
Yeah, you know, if Game 2 goes better than Game 1, I would say it's a successful debut, even individually. Zika taking a lot of damage. He hits level 3, but so does EDZ. Just getting these hyper stacks off, keeping them very, very low. It's the range versus melee matchup. Always going to be annoying to deal with, but Zika handling it fine so far.
Does have the D shield, so provide a little bit extra regen. See if he can stay topped off in that lane. Of course, a big thing for Camille, I think that in this matchup, this is one where both champs can win at different times of the game. The Triforce pop is really big for Camille, and I want to see 5T5 or Haichao make their way up top to really help support Camille and gank Gnar at that time. Usually a big one where, you know, if Gnar's mini, you can really look to attack with the Camille. So want to see if they're able to get the right lockdown and support required to make sure this matchup's winning for LNG.
Junglers on opposite sides here. We do see Zika teleporting top. Xiaohao going to take it back after clearing that Scuttle Crab. 5T5 going to get his as well and go and take his back. So the junglers through their first clears. Not doing a whole lot here, but as they hit level 6, it's when it gets exciting. And 5T5 is actually going to be able to walk in. This jungle is completely warded up right now. My goodness.
Yeah, curiously enough, too, Xiaohao rotating back over just to protect against a potential dive. He will be spotted too, so a way to reset on the Vi here. As, again, just making sure this bot lane's nice and safe. Don't expect any plays to come down onto the Kalista Renata. And I think game plan here for LNG, I'm a little bit curious because we did see Skarner start on the top side very frequently with Kalista comps. Actually, really nice to start bot side and clear top, because what happens is that when you get back onto the map around this timer, Dragon spawns at the 5-minute mark, so you can clean up your 2 bot side camps and then actually play for the Dragon. But no, and have a bit of a shift up in power is the prio from the Kalista Renata. They will shift top, so the focus for LNG going to be on the Grubs, and this shift is not matched by EDG.
Yeah, and I like this for LNG. I think they're going to get good use out of Grubs for Haichao and Zika. Now, we'll see what Haichao is able to do in a solo lane. Again, really looking for him to actually, you know, make his thumbprint on this game, right? Make his footprint on this game, whatever you want to call it, but actually make an impact on this game. And could be doing it through a side lane. Give him a lot of Grubs. As we know, Azir can be quite annoying to deal with on sides. On the bottom side, EDG is going to start up this Dragon early, so maybe an opportunity to go and make this Grub play anyway, as 5T5 is going to go find himself some chicken nuggies. Take those away.
It should be traded by Xiaohao as well in the back half here, as we will just get a little bit of vertical jungling going on. So I think both teams well aware of what's going on at the moment, though. ZDZ could be in trouble. Skarner to burn E. He's on the Krugs, though, not going for the play, and ZDZ saving his hop. Going to be safe enough, as actually might look to push 5T5 off this.
Yeah, try to get some good damage on him. ZDZ was already going to be pretty low, and the fact that he was going to mini-Gnar, he's okay to sacrifice a little bit of HP there. Any effort to try to stop 5T5 as a flash gets burnt by Wink, trying to stop Zika from getting to the turret, but he was able to do so.
Yeah, once that hook shot connects, you can cancel it if you find the stun in there. That's a really big mechanic in the Renekton matchup. I think that the stun for Wink came in a little bit early off the flash, but this dive still could continue.
He's flashless now. He's going to try to get away, but can't do so. The shield is not enough. Good tanking there, and Wink gets first blood.
Now, that was really well played by Wink. Of course, burned the Zenith Blade to follow up the hook shot from Zika. Made sure that that first blood was guaranteed, as now it's free time with the bot lane turret. We'll say we did have Leona actually base and is going to walk top. My eyes on ZDZ now to see if he's going to be the one that contests this lane, or if they send Corki elsewhere. There's a lot of shifts going on here.
It looks like they do send ZDZ up to the top side, so just clean up whatever minions are left back coming out from LP and Zhuo. So we'll see where they elect to redeploy as well. On the bottom side right now, it's Zika with some alone time on is going to match him. I mean, you know, it's not the first time we've actually seen Corki versus, or Corki straight up against the top laner, I should say, you know? I remember Cube playing that thing top lane.
Yeah.
Huh?
I don't think Wink wanted to take that. I just think that he wanted to see if he would cancel, which
okay.
I actually appreciate.
That's valid.
Yeah, nice mind game there from Wink. Haichao going to be disciplined, though. Slams that back button. Wink's going to make his way bot to help support on again, and we'll see if we have a round 2 dive coming in, as Zika did save the flash from the last one and will have ult available. That does make Camille quite difficult to dive.
Well, looks like they're ready to do it anyway. Xiaohao is booking it on the way down. Has
5T5
the cease
too.
and desist as well. So we'll see if 5T5 is able to get there first.
Wave's not in time.
He does have the impale. You mentioned that wave timing just a little bit off here. 5T5
Yeah, it's bad.
Staying outside of the brush. Now he's in the brush, so Xiaohao doesn't really have an idea that he's there. Could have an inkling. But LNG is ready to turn this play around. EDG is ready to slam it. Zika is ready. Here comes 5T5 coming in. They're going to look to turn onto him. He's going to flash away, but now everybody is on the Skarner as he desperately tries to get away. His impale whiffs against 3 members of EDG.
Beautiful sidestep from On to capitalize that play as they find the member that was not under the turret, collapse on a single target. Well done here. I will say Camille able to absorb everything, still being even in XP against the Nashor, but I would not be surprised if we get a redive bot. Wink just hit 6. Opportunity to maybe go for that play again. Not going to be the cases. Oh, that's actually a nice ult.
Yeah, this is good. That turret shot, too. It's going to actually force out the Fate's call to avoid Zhuo taking a turret shot. But EDG has been playing really well early. This repeat dive play that happened is so smart, so calm, too.
Swaps are back on, man. We got some late game swaps now.
Exactly. The swaps are so back, baby. They were out of vogue for like 5 minutes, but they're here and they're ready to go. Objectives are going to be up quite soon, about a minute and 10 and 20 seconds on each of them. Imagine LNG is going to go and fight for these topside grubs once again. They would really like to get 6 on their soldier players.
See if Wink actually flushes this one out against 5T5. This would be big because Vi didn't stick around to take the red buff. I think 5T5 thinks that Vi's still on the bot side jungle. As, ooh.
It's not landing the Zenith Blade, and we'll hit the blast cone, but not elect to go any further.
That was the right call. There was no more potential follow-up there. So, well done by Wink, though, and EDG to make sure that red buff stays protected. And I know that we've had a quiet first 10 minutes of the game, but it is a 1K goal lead for EDG. Most of that actually going to be on the back of Xiaohao on this Vi. So, completed Sundered Sky. We'll see what he's able to do as these monster objectives hit in the rift yet again, Yanni. And at the moment, sights from Xiaohao set on this bot side, so maybe looking at the dragon.
You know, typically I wouldn't put too much, stock into like, hey, first item's been completed, but this Sundered Sky is actually going to go really, really hard for Xiaohao.
It's early.
Yeah, like not only this early, but against the team that he's playing against, like, he's going to heal so much. It's going to be so valuable for these early fights. Vi is really the big bully right now. So they're going to go and rip this dragon.
Denting blows does make these dragons quite healthy. Angel didn't have access to the E is what I'm going to assume. Again, if you throw out the Fear or the Chompers, it can cancel Skarner out of his E. So Angel not using any of them. I'm going to assume that that was down. I didn't see in the lower left screen if he had anything up or not. But it does burn the flash. And now it might just be the cross-country trek towards the top side. As we'll see if EDG is able to contest these grubs that have been started by 5T5.
Yeah, but they said LP and Zhuo bot lane, right? So 5T5 is just going to pick up the one, so they will secure at least at least a little bit more power there. But EDG ultimately going to scoop up these last 2 for themselves.
All right, well, objective so far in favor of EDG. 2 Drakes, 4-2 split. I know that you mentioned, Yanni, that EDG, a lot of the games that we saw them play in split 2 placements, a lot of grub prio. This time around, taking the first 2 Drakes of the game on time. See if EDG can continue to stay on time in this game.
Yeah, and, we talked about how they have a lot of early game power coming out of this Vi. Obviously, when Nashor hits level 6, he's an incredibly powerful champion. And they should be able to bully their way for a 3rd dragon in about 4 minutes, which will put them in a really good spot despite the fact that it is Cloud Dragon. So it's not exactly the best soul, but I'm sure they'll take it.
at the moment. Just gonna see Wei deleting waves and Haichao catching. I will say that given some of the rotations of EDG, slight experience leads a couple places for LNG. I think notably Haichao up about half a level on Angel. That could be important again. That's something we're really looking for in this game, Yanni. We mentioned the lack of, proactivity from LNG. We see that Hui now. It has been, they got the flash out of the Hui, right? So I want to see a rinse and repeat. And I do like how EDG is protecting that Hui in the side. Then you can see both Wink and Xiaohao hovering on that side of the map. I think that is warranted given that immobile champion is down that summoner spell.
And LNG, they need to make a play against it, right? They have an opportunity. It's like, hey, you guys haven't been able to do anything all game other than take some grubs. This is your chance to go in and try to make a play onto somebody. And they're not really taking advantage of it. It feels like they're just allowing this early threat of Kalista. We know that Kalista is this really strong early game champion. Try to spook EDG into not fighting and mind control them to allow time for Camille and Azir to actually get into the game. But, this Vi eventually is just going to start dropping R buttons on people.
Yeah, I think EDG, it seems like both teams in a way okay with playing this game out at the pace it is. As you can see, Xiaohao yet again, that's just a hover for Angel. I think he's going to base after this wave, so just making sure that there was no Skarner. Again, I really like the intentionality of the jungler of EDG, just spending some extra time with Angel while he's down flash to make sure that this way isn't attacked as they secure one more plate before plates expire here at 14.
Yeah, he's been very intelligent, very smart with the way he's been pathing, and overall a big reason why EDG is nursing this lead that they have. They were outdone in the plate game, but honestly, if you give a team 4 grubs and they only take 4 plates, that feels like a win, Cubby. It feels like you are very happy with that, given the fact that you've gotten 2 dragons and you've got the slight gold lead.
Yeah, of course, buck 30 until we have our upcoming monster objective spawning here, Yanni. As resets from EDG to help set up for this one. Gotta say, this is where, again, I think that there's real potential for 5T5 and LNG to look for plays in the side lanes. Angel's about to have flash back up, and he's still getting hovers as Wink deploying with him, but did mention that Triforce being completed for the Camille. Wait on the Nashor. Of course, he has to take the pit stop for steel caps in this matchup, so opportunity to attack a mini Nashor in the side lane for LNG as well. Would love to see them look for a play, as at the moment it looks like 5T5 hovering bot and hovering this Azir, where the Angel is still flashless.
It could be an opportunity for this Camille to make something happen in a fight. I mentioned having that a little bit of a strength gap in terms of pure power, but obviously ZDZ good utility on the Nashor. We'll see what teams go for what objectives here. LNG, I'm sure, is probably looking at breaking the dragon stacking, but EDG, I feel like they'd be so happy with a Rift Herald, given the fact that they are just able to kind of go when they want and go at will. Obviously, their last Herald play in Game 1 wasn't exactly fantastic, but I'm sure that they have the tools to be able to right their wrongs. As he's using the Gnarl, just trying to make sure that Zika, if he teleports into a fight, comes in with a little bit less health. LNG has complete control of the bottom side river right now.
Yeah, a little dark here for EDG, but they're going to be able to catch the waves. I'm curious if Angel approaches the bot wave at all. He has actually rotated a little bit closer to mid, as EDG might be looking to contest this corridor here. Angel does have flashback up, which is important.
Yep. Dragon being started. Not really being focused here. It's just kind of beating the tar.
Oh, they're elsewhere.
Out of 5T5, and EDG has said, you know what, we are just going to go. You can have the dragon. We will take the Herald. And again, we'll try to do what they were unable to do last time and make a very positive Herald play. Now in the mid lane, LNG going to shove in. We see a lot of pings going down, so they're not actually able to do anything against Angel, given the fact that his flash is back up now.
We'll just turn this into topside pressure. With that demolish and the threat of EDG taking Rift Herald going to be enough for Zika to drop that wave. Does it end up being first turret, though? A little bit of a race going on. Azir's bot, but there's no Nashor's Tooth for Haichao. It did go for the Leandries first, so a bit slower on taking that turret despite the 4 grubs. And first tower and feats go over to EDG.
What do you think of Feats now that the dust has settled? You know, we're into split 2. Everybody thought Feats early on were like, oh my god,
Feats
you ought to win
fine.
the game. I think it's fine too.
I like the mechanic because I like the fact that when you do stuff early, you get some strength for the rest of the game, but
You get some
it's
dopamine.
really,
You get some serotonin.
yeah, I don't think I've really seen feats like make a difference or decide a game. And most of those tier 3 boots aren't super valuable. There are a few exceptions to it. I think it's really nice for mages because you get some percent pen on the Sorks. And also for lucidity boots, just getting a little bit of extra move speed always feels really nice.
You know, if we could give mages percent pen, why couldn't we give AD carries some flat pen with their buff?
All right, let's not get too crazy here, Yanni.
Ah, come on, man. The AD carries need to be a protected
You don't need
class.
more. You don't need more.
Herald charge is going to come through, take the mid turret to about half HP. Again, you know, we see a lot of teams do this, but it just feels like you should be getting more off of that.
Yeah, I mean, I just don't like the timer it's dropped either. Like, you can use Herald to prompt a response from the enemy team, so it's dropped at a point in time in the game where you aren't fighting for anything. As Wink going to use a tempo solar flare, which I really don't blame him for, because that really does speak to how slow this game is, Yanni.
Yeah, you got to keep, you got to keep yourself in the game. You know, Cubby, you're a baseball guy. When the ball doesn't get hit to you a lot, it's kind of hard to keep yourself locked in. You know, that's Wink going like, hey, my hands still work.
I think this is Wink.
Oh no!
Let's
Wait a minute, Wink went a little bit too hard here, and he is going to fall. There's going to be LNG's first kill of the game.
Yeah, that's not a brush that you can walk in. That was not justified by Wink whatsoever. Ends up going down for free. As LNG not really going to be able to get anything off of it. Would love to see if they're able to set up towards that bot side. Will be a bot Otacon spawn with Dragon 2 minutes from now. Thought maybe, get a few wards, take out a couple wards yourself, but didn't really clear anything there from EDG. So when they get back out on the map here, they're going to be the ones that likely have first response to bot side and should be able to get control over this.
Wink really walked in that bush just to feel something, just to feel alive. Like,
he's all of us at home, just like, oh, we need action. Walk in, please.
Oh, he's going, oh, all right, this time he drops the ward.
Smite burned.
There weren't other members there to actually ensure that he was locked down, but gotta commend him for being fearless and going, you know what? Oh, I'll do it again. I'll walk into another one, baby. So Otacon has finally spawned. We are going to get some, let me guess. I haven't actually seen it yet, but I'm going to guess we're going to get Otacon revives this game. Bold, perhaps.
I'm gonna say that you're a very astute play-by-play, Yanni.
Ah, thank you.
Very astute.
Yeah, honestly,
Hold on. We might see some blood here. Angel.
Okay.
Little
Xiaohao
ships in the night
was
there.
there too, and Wink was moving up. That looked so good, and then you realize we got full vision and it didn't look so good. LP took a lot of damage from on right there.
I wonder what has, like, because again, this game looks pretty even for me. I wonder still what in the algorithm has this so EDG favored. I'm starting to wonder if it's like the power of Corki this game, because for me, Corki can sometimes be really threatened in games where he gets outranged by stuff, and there are things that can outrange Corki in this game, but you're saying that as Corki gets to interact with Callista, Skarner, and Camille, that's actually better than most games for Corki. All
right, never mind.
Defense being played. The waves are nice right now for EDG. They do have both side waves at +1. And yeah, they're going to utilize some of the poke from the Hui and the grouping. And the fact that Zika has to respond, at least get some push mid and also set up this dragon, which again is pretty uncontested from LNG, Yanni, as this will likely just be Soul going over for free for EDG.
Well, it's only Soul Point for right now, Cubby, as LNG were able to take the
Soul
last
Point.
one.
Sorry, thank you.
Yeah, no, you're good, but
that's me wanting action. I'm
with you. I'm with you, brother. Yeah. I'm with you. We finally are getting a dragon. Hey, you know what? This is what Riot Games intended when they put Elder Dragon into the game. I don't know if you remember. I'm sure you do remember. You are a student of the game, my friend. All of the games before all these newfangled dragons and whatnot, all the games where you just went and you killed the dragon, you got a little bit of gold, and it didn't actually help you end the game. It's games like these that are precisely why they introduced Elder Dragon. Don't forget that.
Yeah, we just need to breathe some fire, That's that solves any and all action problems in the end, Yanni.
Yeah, fire. Honestly, fire can solve a lot. Xiaohao looking to solve something here. Looking to solve the problem of no action as they blow up Zika. Here we go. EDG making a play.
Goodbye. Yeah, Zika just got sent to a different realm as that Corki, that upfront damage was big, and now Wink.
All right, LP should be able to pull him on the Fate's Call. Going to go link up with 5T5 here. LP is able to hop over the wall, so no other action there, but yeah, there are many members of EDG hanging around this mid lane, maybe looking to take out this mid-tier 1.
To like this from EDG, they can wait a little bit to respond to that bot wave. They're going to make sure that they knock down this outer as they have the numbers. Good pick onto Zika and Corki. There's
Zhuo.
Nope, yep, goodbye.
They flashed on him, he's dead. And all of a sudden, LNG is just getting picked off one by one. They've fallen asleep at the wheel, Cubby, and with the lack of action in this game, I don't necessarily blame it.
No flash, no Fate's Call, and no bailout. As we're gonna get a replay. It was an early smite from 5T5, which ends up being a red buff for EDG, and they've cracked open a 3K gold lead. Yanni, couple nice kills going over to the Corki is on. That new marksman for EDG this split, potential to really be big this game. Reunited with Wink. We have been pretty positive about this bot lane, actually, despite EDG find themselves in Group Nirvana and definitely having a nice game here.
Yeah, Honest had some really, really good games throughout his career, right? He's seen as I guess you'd say a middle-of-the-pack AD carry, but, you know, he's still an LPL AD carry, right? These LPL AD carries are built different, and even guys who are considered middle of the pack are still really, really strong players. But one thing that's been really bugging me, how many times have we seen 5T5 use his ultimate this game? I think it was the one time that he missed in the bottom lane.
Yeah, and that was a nice sidestep from On, so we'll give that one to him.
But yeah, absolutely. Credit where credit is due there, but I've do something. Like, he's got to do something. We're getting back to, like, I hate to go back and harp on this, but LNG is a team that is just marred by inaction, right? We have Renata ultimate. We have a Zero ultimate. We've got all these good tools.
Like, Haichao's farmed up a Storm.
Yeah.
He just hasn't done anything with it yet.
This is a team that they have good tools,
we missed.
and they haven't been able to use them. We're trying to use the tools. Angel's able to flash away. Angel down to about half HP, but he's going to survive with the hostile takeover coming through. They're beating the tar out of each other, but not doing a whole lot of damage. Meanwhile, Haichao is full HP. 5T5 super low. 5T5 goes down from a severing bolt, and now LP's got to flash away as LNG strike, but get it reversed on.
I just don't think that engage is really warranted on Angel. I like the fact that they got the flash out, but Zika going that far in, again, Haichao wasn't there and didn't TP to the play, so he's just late, and being down numbers, EDG just went out in the back half of the fight.
Zika teleporting in, but so is ZDZ, so a 5v4 in favor of EDG right now, and Haichao getting chunked out pretty hard. As EDG have full control after getting another pick, being up about 3,500 gold, we'll call it. The Soul coming up in about 50 seconds for them. Really felt like that was LNG pressing so hard to try to take some control.
Honestly, really want to see a replay of that because,
we're getting it right now.
Look at where Haichao's at. Again, if we're going for this play, I think Haichao needs to fire off TP like now. He walks here and he ends up being so late, and again, he's sitting on like 270 CS, the 25-minute mark. He's got 2 items, has his Zanyas, gets in when the fight's pretty much over, and can't really contribute to it. So for me, he's the one that's fed. If they actually want to make that play, they should commit to it as a team because that looks not bad. I mean, like Angel was out of position on the way. If you're able to actually follow up, the hostile takeover wasn't too bad, but Haichao and LP weren't there. So I feel like LP, he had to walk no matter what. But again, if you want that play, Haichao should TP, and LNG needs to respect that their carries were not in position for a look that was actually pretty good, with Angel being out of position and being forced to flash early.
We've yet to see an Emperor's Divide this game, Cubby. Haichao,
that too.
Hopefully saving the first for the best. Dragging into about 6,000 HP as LNG wants to find their way in. Their ults are back up. Zika's in there. 5T5 is in there too. ZDZ has split the gap between the two, but he's stuck in the pit and he's Mininar right now. And the dragon is stolen away by LNG. And here comes the hostile takeover. ZDZ is hitting his teammates, but it's just to buy some space. Zika will exit the pit. LNG will lick their wounds, but take their prize.
They're happy with the yoink there if you are LNG. So good smite from 5T5. He won the war against Xiaohao. Now the real question is, health bars lie in advantage at EDG. They do have the red buffs, which will help them sustain up a wee bit. Do they want to threaten the Baron at all? Looks like a no.
All right, I respect LNG for not going too hard in that fight.
Honestly,
right?
man.
Complaining about Haichao not using his ultimate and, prior. That fight, you did good there. Don't do anything too fancy.
Yeah, they did well.
You just take it away because he's still scaling. He is scaling. We talked about how Haichao later on this game will be a big factor, or should be at least, on the Azir, and he's getting there. He's on the get there plan.
I actually really think that EDG should have ripped Baron there. I liked where their health bars were at. I think you keep him out onto the map. And the Impale was down and Hostile Taker was down. Those are two of, I think, the big circles and the important ultimates. I think EDG actually had a real opportunity to rip it there and then try and find the turn, but not the case. Instead, they take the reset, get the deploys back, and they're doing a nice job of taking control over this topside jungle. Otacon still available on the bot side. And a game where, I'm no league scientist in terms of the damage that we've seen been dealt throughout the game, Yanni, but I think that you're, again, pretty astute in saying that that's likely going to be the Otacon that features the withdrawals and not the flowers.
Siege is on for this mid-tier 1 as Haichao a little too close. Wink using his actual flash, but not able to find Haichao at all. So I respect the look, but the brain was there, the hands were not.
Cancel their on-to-on. That actually might lead to some pressure for the mid-outer. LP and Haichao are each here. Haichao still not working towards the Nashor. Still doesn't have it yet, as we're expecting that to be what the Codex and the Blasting Wand leads into. And again, Haichao really fed this game. So if he's able to get the Nashor's Tooth, this Azir will be pumping in these later fights. I just want to see if he's able to really stand and deliver the damage necessary for LNG to win these fights. Again, the setup for Azir, the space you can create with the Impale, with the hostile takeover. Real chance for Haichao, again, in this game to have a big one.
Cubby, when you mentioned that these teams might be playing a little bit different because they're in Group Nirvana, I wasn't entirely too sure about that.
These are high-stakes games, man.
I have been convinced that these teams are playing very, very afraid. And they are playing very much like their competitive lives depend on it. And they do.
Yeah.
This is the first game of Group Nirvana, though. I wonder if we'll see all of the games like this, because certainly you don't expect me to think that LGD is going to play like this, right? Because they haven't played like this all year. But, neither of these teams, really. EDG has been explosive in their early games, and in these games they've been quite a bit more muted. The tone shift is really palpable here, as Otacon has been started up by EDG and should be taken pretty freely. Or not.
I like the fact you're calling that out, though, Yanni, because, again, are these the lower teams in the LPL? Yes, but given the format, these single round-robin best-of-3 to play for split 3 lives, these games are important. This is pretty much a playoff game for these guys, right? It's the consolation bracket for sure. This is the NIT tournament, Yanni.
Yeah.
These games still matter quite a bit.
This is the don't finish in last in the bottom 2 tournament, and Zika all of a sudden has found himself on the wrong side of the tracks.
Oh, they're going Baron. They're going Baron.
I like this play. The flash was burnt by ZDZ. Zika is going to try to lead them on a wild goose chase. He's going to burn his flash too.
Angel knows.
Trying to escape from Wink. So the question is, how well can you dance, Zika? As they've realized that they can no longer chase this. Wink is still in the area instead of going to help out the team. So we're going to see a 4v3 on the top side here.
They got this.
The Baron is very low.
It's gone.
And well played by LNG. They have finally made a snappy decision, Cubby, and they are rewarded, draped in purple.
A damn good one at that, too. Props to LNG. I mean, again, slow game, but managed to take a free Baron. Good stall from Zika. Doesn't even go down. That's a massive win for LNG, especially before this dragon spawns, as it's soul on the table again for EDG, and they might be able to use this to get good waves to maybe get an Otacon, too, as Baron plus withdrawals could lead to a serious power play in favor of LNG.
Yeah, and on the plus side, too, while Zika did burn flash, so did ZDZ. That Gnar ultimate is going to be a little bit harder to actually make happen. Now, the question is, what is LNG going to do here, right? With his dragon coming up, we saw them rooting around, poking at Otacon. You really don't want to give this soul up. You do have this power, though. So if you're going to spend a lot of your time trying to wrestle for control, I think EDG is probably fine with that. That's less time that you have on these side waves. Haichao gonna escort that bottom wave in just a little bit. Now the Otacon has been started. ZDZ is gonna catch this bottom wave. We see a lot of pings going down. We do know the objective control of a team that has a Callista. 7, 6, 5,000, 4,000, 3,000, 2,000. Who's going to get it? It is secured by LNG, and they have the revives. And Zika says, it's time for me to go in. Angel chunked to half, and Zika is going to have to withdraw soon, but he gets enough shields to survive. The Spiraling Despair does a whole lot. LP is taking very low. Haichao whiffs on his ultimate, and ZDZ on the backline forces multiple members of LNG away, and that means the Soul will go the way of EDG.
I'm kind of at a loss for words there, Yanni, because I just watched Haichao torpedo in, whiff his ult, and throw 2 auto attacks. Again, this is a 315 CS, 3-item Azir.
Standard Haichao team fight.
That just did 800 damage in a team fight. Like that, this cannot happen for LNG to win, and it's not like space wasn't created. I just want to focus again on Haichao for this fight.
All right.
Because the engage from Zika, I mean, it's something that gets in. I like the response from Xiaohao. With all the space being created, I mean, this is just not the role in a fight. Like, I think that as Azir in this game, you want to auto-attack off of the Impale's hostile takeovers. I will say they were used early by Zhuo and by 5T5, but it can't be torpedoing nothing like that. Like, even if it connects, I don't think it wins them the fight at all. And this Fed Azir just, again, not in position to ever really do damage. So the lead is kind of null and void, as LNG with the Baron going to try and pick up some enters here, but still, like, they're down Soul after this Baron. The gold's going to be even. Soul on the table.
Here's the Impale on singular target. It's Haichao. Haichao, a little low, but he's in the back of the fight. ZDZ making a big play. And Haichao, where is Haichao? He's not with the team. He can't get over the wall. Now he's got to hit the blast cone to get out of there, but EDG hold their ground and get a pick.
Great play from Xiaohao. Again, has the GA. Didn't even have to pop it, but gave him the confidence to push forward there. And on this Corki is really pumping out a lot of damage. We didn't talk about the Spear of Shojin third, but more Velks, more ease. The Gatling gun really big for the armor shred. And also just the changes to Corki. His AD ratios are quite nice to the point where we have even seen some Bloodthirst or Essence Reaver Corki being played in other scenarios in other leagues. So I do like that build from On. But yeah, again, I feel like it's just been 2 games, Yanni, where I know we were hard on Haichao coming into the series, but
it's deserved.
The series hasn't helped his case. The series hasn't helped his case.
He's like, LNG is at least fighting harder in this game, and they just need him to do something here. Zika is fighting for his life multiple times and trying to do so much for his team. He's 0-2-0. The scoreline does not reflect, like, the work that he has put in to try to make sure LNG can stay in this game.
Yeah, and a game that, like, I don't even think it's been the best game for Zika, but at least he's trying to do stuff and make plays, right?
He got on top of Angel. He got him to almost dead, below 40%, expecting somebody else to be able to pick him up and win the fight from there, and it just couldn't happen.
Zhuo's dead. There's no Fate's Call.
Yeah, this bro is dead. He's going to turn around, drop the ultimate down, but it's not really going to help too much. This Corki does way too much damage, and that is big for EDG, as despite the fact LNG got Baron, EDG still controls the map.
And that pick should really help make sure that they're able to get control over the top side, have some time to get some wards down, reset, and then do it all over again, as you do see Wink coming out of base, still a numbers advantage for EDG. But, I mean, it's that Baron play from LNG, like, that was actually a good play and a good call.
Great.
It was the one time in the series where we have seen them really commit to something as a team, as Haichao going to slink away, Xiaohao not going to pull the trigger. But, like, after that, again, I know that this is a team, or LP and 5T5, it's their first look here in the LPL, but you got to expect the players that have been stuck around, and Zhuo, Haichao, and Zika to really step up, and we've only really felt that from the 0-2-0 Camille, who arguably has had the biggest game impact still, so it's just, like, the struggles just kind of continue for LNG, and again, it's a team where we really feel like if we don't see them in Split 3 right now, we would not be surprised, and these changes have yet to really inspire confidence in that narrative changing.
Cubby, is it safe to say that getting Otacon was the worst thing that could have happened to LNG this game?
I mean,
serious question. Not trying to meme. Very serious question.
It wasn't good. I mean, the Baron was not existent because of it, right?
I mean, they lost. Yeah, they lost the soul too.
Yeah.
Like, no, there's something to be said for that. As the
Baron
is back up. I can't imagine EDG will fall for a play like that again. In fact, EDG says, we're going to try to cut out the middleman as they have already started up the Baron. On does a lot of damage. On is really tanky.
This is not spotted. And
Yeah,
Angel can make it really hard to walk in. Okay, now they spot it, but can they even get there in time?
Absolutely not. Maybe they
5v5.
can. 5v5 is trying to wade his way through. He's pulled the Gnar, but the Mega Gnar slams 2 into the wall. It's time. We need to see Haichao make a big play. Couple of knockups on the backside. The fight is split. Haichao! Haichao gets to the back line, makes a huge play. Angel is low and goes down. And LNG find the lifeline. And as you said, Cubby, they may be able to end the game. Only 2 members left alive for the side of EDG. The health bars are not perfect, but Haichao is teleporting in, and he's got full HP. The inhibitor is going down, Cubby. It has fallen. It's ZDZ and it's Xiaohao, the ones that need to hold the line, but they have to hold for so long. Slammed up against the wall with the X-Stall's impact. Xiaohao is going to go down, but he's got that GA. ZDZ has to retreat to the fountain as the first Nexus turret is going to fall. The second Nexus turret is under siege. Xiaohao just going in, but he goes down. ZDZ falls too. 27 seconds before the Elder spawns. Cubby, we thought this was a game. The exact reason why Elder was created, but instead, LNG put the kibosh on that, and they say, we'll do it ourselves.
I mean, all that time spent just kind of complaining about Haichao having all that farm and not getting involved in the fights, and guess what? Haichao ends the fight. I gotta say, we gave LNG credit for their Baron call the first time around. EDG really botched that Baron. I think the call is just take the Baron, sack the Gnar, right? If Gnar only falls and you walk out with the Baron, things are fine. He would have been up before the Elder. So the fact that it was a full turn, people were down before the Baron, I don't think we're gonna get a second look at that one, but if we did, I mean, that was a really disjointed re-engage, and the hostile takeover really split up EDG, not to mention the Emperor's Divide at the end, ending EDG, and all of a sudden, I felt like that game was pretty much EDG's to lose. I still feel that way, but now we're on to a Game 3 in a series that really looked like it was going to be a convincing 2-0.
Yeah, and we talked about how every game is important when you're going to play against a team like LNG, where you think that they're going to be the bottom team, right? The team that you should beat up on, and that is a critical loss for EDG, not only because, you know, they are in danger of losing the series, but if they win the series, they could look back at this, could find themselves, you know, outside of that top 2 simply because they were not able to cleanly take care of business against LNG. Cubby, I know it's very early to actually mention, but we do have to give an MVP to LNG.
It's gonna hurt me to say this, Yanni.
It's gotta be Haichao, right?
It just might be Haichao in the end.
It just might be.
It just might be Haichao.
Sandwich Man Haichao coming in. I mean, listen, you know,
he made use of the farm when it mattered. You know,
when the world needed him most, he showed up.